What is up? I'm Sonny Carton. It's 2:06 on a beautiful Saturday, and you're here watching Snacks and Sonny on uSTADIUM. Be sure to like and follow on social media platforms. But today, you see, it is not Snack sitting next to me. It is the man Frankie himself. How you doing, Frankie?
What is going on, my dude? Everything's good, man. You have the better defensive lineman on the show today, so
Not
gonna
sure
get
about
rocking
that.
and rolling.
Not sure about that. I think he could take us both still today.
Yeah, 100%. He
100%.
would take us both, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. You'd have to go for his legs. I go for the top, and then you
Yeah.
take him out. Yeah, go for his
Some
knees. He's got
some
old man knees.
Yeah, some tag team combo for sure. Yeah. All right, so let's get right into it. I want to start off with the Rams because this is a team that started off so strong into the year, but I want to be clear about their beginning to the season that looked incredible, and I just want to make some comments about it because they started 7-1 through 8 games. But if you look at those 8 games, they played the Bears, they played the Colts, the Buccaneers, the Cardinals, Seattle, the Giants, Detroit, and Houston. So what? That's like 3 good teams out of the 8. So everyone was going crazy about the Rams, but they really weren't that good at the beginning.
Yeah, it was interesting because I'll be honest. 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had them as the favorites, the Super Bowl favorites. I mean, I thought that they just came out and they were connecting on all cylinders. They were playing good defense. McVay seemed to get those guys all prepared. Stafford was the first half MVP. And I don't know what happened. I don't know. I think they lost some of their luster. They started playing some tougher teams, but I think they're not battle tested yet, and now they are. So we'll see how they're going to react over the next 2 or 3 weeks. But I think they kind of needed this to kind of build throughout the year. They were that pace they were on the first half of the season. I mean, let's be honest, that wasn't realistic. So we'll see what happens, but I think we'll find out who the Rams really are over the next 2 weeks or so. We'll see how they play.
Yeah, and to their credit, they still have to find a way to work without Robert Woods, who
Yeah.
obviously, as good as Cooper Kupp had been, we've seen a lot of situations actually where one guy's putting up stats, but a lot of the time it's because the defense is focused on another guy on the team. And I think that's what Robert Woods was to Cooper Kupp throughout the beginning of the season. So now, obviously, bringing in Odell to try to replace Robert Woods in that role, and they've been trying to make that work. But that's something that's going to take time. You can't expect to bring in a talent in like Odell and have it click right away. That's something that they're going to have to get used to. Robert Woods have been playing in that system alongside Cooper Kupp for what, 4 years now, almost 5 years. So when you take a guy out like that who is so reliable, it's hard to replace him. So that being said, this is a theme we're seeing with Odell now, where quarterbacks seem to struggle not only getting him the ball, but just to run an offense when he's on the field. Do you think Odell's a curse to a team?
Absolutely, he's a curse. I'll say this. I'll go as so far as this. Odell Beckham is the most overrated offensive player of my lifetime. I will say that. I don't see it. I don't see his game where it used to be. I think people still consider him this this home run threat at wide out. He's just not anymore. When's the last time you've seen Odell take over a game? He hasn't won a playoff game in his career. Last time he went to the playoffs was 2016. Every single team he goes on gets worse. Every single team, every quarterback he plays with. Now, it's not to say that Odell Beckham's a bad wide receiver. He's not. But if you're going to make him your number one wide receiver with the amount of attention he wants on and off the field, you're really putting your team in his hands. And it's, last I'll really say is in team sports, the locker room, the presence you have off the field, that matters in terms of winning when it comes to we have some background noise here, by the way. I don't know if that's is that Sonny? Yeah, that's on Sonny's end. No, it's all good. But yeah, what I was basically gonna say is, when you have a team sport and players in the locker room are demanding that they want the ball, they want all the attention, what do you think that does to the vibe of the team? I think a lot of things that Odell brings outside of football don't really aren't conducive to winning. And I think the more we start to look into that and bringing in a good, quality locker room guy, that matters in terms of winning. Look at what Shannon Sharp did. I mean, I know I'm bringing up Shannon Sharp because Splash is a big Ravens fan. You bring Shannon Sharp to the Ravens, man, that locker room just gets so lit and so much fun and so positive. Everyone's about the team and winning, and the vibe is there. People want to win, and you see that they won with Shannon Sharp going to the Ravens. There's a lot of examples. I bring that up because we were talking about him earlier, but it's just something where the vibe matters. And I think a lot of times people don't look into that. And I think it's evident with Odell.
Yeah, I mean, how I respond to that, and I want to make this clear, nothing you said specifically I can necessarily retort. Quarterbacks have started to look worse when he joins the team. He has had issues in the locker room in the past that are reported at least by the media. When we talked to Snacks on this show, he said that Odell was awesome in the locker room and that he had no problems from that point. But I can't deny the fact that it's clear that there are some locker room problems that exist, whether or not from the guys Odell talks to in the locker room or other guys on the team. Those problems exist. But what you're saying is not wrong. He has not had a playoff success. He has not shown outside of those first 4 years of his career that he can be the guy that people were projecting him to be. I mean, let's not forget, this man was being compared to Jerry Rice in terms of how he started his career, and probably rightfully so. And that's the one area where I'd ask you to be careful, is that I don't think anyone is claiming that Odell is the Odell of the past. That was a guy who, like, literally unanimously would have made it to the Hall of Fame if he had continued on that track. But I don't think we can go as far as to say that Odell cannot be a valuable weapon in today's NFL, especially with the quarterback talent of Matthew Stafford lined up next to Cooper Kupp and whoever else they have out there. So I think I would love to have Odell on my team, and I think that we will see in these next few games, as Nick said, that was just a red-hot Niners team they were playing. They have to figure out how to get Odell involved, and the Rams will be a fine team, and there is no Odell curse.
I'll say this, though. Getting a wide receiver like Odell, you're really rolling the dice there because, in my opinion, I don't think a wide receiver is going to win you a Super Bowl. I mean, look at history. Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Calvin Johnson, 0 Super Bowl wins. 2 Super Bowl appearances? Terrell went to 1 and Randy. So I don't think, stacking up, your wideouts aren't going to make you a better football team. It's a team game. It's about running the football when it's cold late in the year. It's about playing defense. It's about getting a big third down stop in a crucial situation. Having a diva wide receiver that can take a slant for 60 yards, which apparently Odell really can't even do anymore. I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw Odell do what he was doing in New York, where he's taking these slants for 60. I think he slowed down a bit with that ankle injury, that foot injury. I think that little half step he doesn't have. And that's the difference in football. We've talked about this on previous shows between making a tackle and not. It's a half inch. I mean, it's literally you're grabbing cloth or you're not. So Odell doesn't have that speed that he used to, that explosiveness. I don't see it like it used to be. He still has it, but not to that nth degree. And I just don't think getting wide receivers really helps you win a Super Bowl. I just don't see it. So I think you're throwing a lot there with Odell. Getting a guy who has injury concerns, maybe not the same, potentially locker room issues, and you're just mixing things together. That what's the point? What was the point of the Rams getting Odell? Now you were talking about Robert Woods. Yeah, it actually worked out, I guess, because Robert Woods got hurt the exact same day they signed him. The Rams apparently didn't even know that, so it was a pretty well-timed move. But Robert Woods' game, for example, he's a deep middle kind of receiver that opens it up for Cooper underneath. Odell's kind of an underneath guy also to a certain degree. I mean, he likes to take the top off once in a while, but he's more of an underneath kind of receiver, smaller-esque. So I don't know. I didn't really see the mix with him and Kupp work. It didn't really feel like it would work out, but we'll see. I mean, they're playing Jacksonville right on Sunday, so they should tomorrow. They should stomp the brakes off of them. We'll see what they do tomorrow.
I mean, listen, Odell, just in that game, 5 receptions, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Clearly, they're starting to figure out a little bit more than they did in the first game, and we'll see what we get from him later on in the year. Maybe we'll get a little decision in this argument back and forth, but there's nothing that can really be decided now because I agree with you. The move from them came, obviously, they didn't know the Robert Woods injury was coming, so I can't say that they made that move because of Robert Woods. So we'll see if stacking the deck with receivers does really elevate your offense to an elite See, exactly. They need 3 quality receivers, and Odell did fit one of those.
Why do you need 3 quality receivers?
In today's football,
You don't need it.
100% you need it. Name me.
Pats don't have 3 quality receivers. The Ravens don't have 3 quality receivers. Maybe the 49ers do if you count Kittle. The 49ers actually do. Now they do.
Let's be fair. We're saying quality receivers. We're not saying elite. We are saying 3 receivers that if you throw them a slant, you feel comfortable. The Patriots certainly have that on their roster this year. Whether or not you want to count tight ends in the mix, but they have 3 receiving targets that they can go to.
So let's throw something out there. You're building a team. You're building an offense. You're investing how much in the wide receiver department versus the offensive line or the running back department. I mean, how are you kind of looking at that? Quarterbacks aside, obviously we're all going to invest in quarterback first and foremost, but how would you rank that hierarchy? Because to me, it's offensive line, at the tippy top. Then it might even be running back. Like, I want a running back. I just do. I like having a good quality running back. I think it just helps makes the game easier for everyone else. Then I may go tight end, and then I might go wide receiver. I think, to me, wide receiver is not as important as people think. But I'm also a Jets fan. I haven't seen a good wide receiver, since Brandon Marshall, so what the hell do I know? But, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like you don't need 3 great wide receivers to win.
You're not necessarily wrong, but this isn't fantasy football. Receivers are definitely more valuable than running backs for a few reasons. Now, also, I'm glad that Splash mentioned this, is that the McVay offense runs heavy 11 personnel. We saw what they did to Todd Gurley in those 3 years. This specific Rams team is such an interesting conversation when we talk about receivers, and it's interesting really when you talk about any team because it matters how they're using those players. It doesn't matter if a team has 3 receivers if they're only going to line up with 1 out wide and 2 tight ends. That being said, I think having receivers elevates your team because of this reason only. Yes, having a good running back can take the pressure off your quarterback, but if you have receivers out on the field that are not only getting open consistently, but making plays in traffic, that does so much to help out a young quarterback like we see on the Jets and Zach Wilson. Like we see pretty much with most teams around the league that have young quarterbacks, having guys that can go up and get the ball are lifesavers. Terry McLaurin has made about 5 different quarterbacks on Washington over the past 3 years look serviceable for that exact reason.
Yeah, I do agree with young quarterbacks. You definitely want to get them help on the outside. So I agree with you there. Where I tend to maybe disagree is someone like Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford's played with maybe one of the best wide receivers we've ever seen, Calvin Johnson. I mean, they didn't win anything there, and they tried to get him Marvin Jones and some other pieces. They forgot to build the offensive line. They forgot to really invest in a running back. They were shuffling running backs in Detroit. They've been shuffling running backs since freaking Barry Sanders there. They don't even, So I think if you want to win in today's game, I do agree. A young quarterback absolutely needs some help on the outside, or else they're really going to struggle because you're going to have to put the ball in tight spots. And if your receivers aren't getting open and can't catch the ball in tight spots, then your quarterback's going to lose all confidence. So I agree, absolutely. But I think with the Rams specifically, Odell Beckham, in my opinion, it did not make any sense from the first moment that I saw the signing to right now, and including when Woods got hurt the day it happened. Like, the timing for them worked out perfectly. I still don't think it made sense. I would have called more plays for Darrell Henderson. I would maybe try to get some tight ends involved, maybe bring in another tight end. I just don't think you needed to bring Odell, but I mean, we'll see. I think we'll see how they play tomorrow, and we'll see the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I don't think you can ever blame a team for stacking up on talent. And as we know, Odell, whether it was a buyout, I forget, or whether I think he just got cut and waived, they got him on a $1.25 million contract for a year. That is the definition of low-risk contract. And that's the one reason I disagree with you about the Odell. Is because take everything you're saying about his inconsistencies, about his potential locker room problems, fine. I'll even leave you with that. But what does it hurt you if you sign a guy for 1 year, $1.25 million, and don't even play him? Like, there's no downside to not bringing in a guy who not only has the past pedigree, but also clearly does still have some level of talent in this league. And I just don't know why you wouldn't bring a guy like that into the offense. But I feel like we both said our piece. None of us really changed our minds. So let's move on to something that's also happening this week. That's going to be a big game that could potentially have some outlook into later down in the season and maybe even the playoffs. Who do you like in a Patriots-Bills matchup?
I like the Bills. I'm a New Yorker. I'm gonna say the Bills. You think I'm gonna say the Pats, man? I'm a New Yorker. I'm a Jets fan. I'm not gonna give the Pats one ounce of credit. They've been getting lucky all year. They're gonna go on a 3-game losing streak. This whole love fest with Mac Jones and Belichick, save it for later. I don't buy it. Most overrated team in football right now. No, I'm exaggerating a bit, but no, I like the Bills. I mean, my two top teams in the AFC in no particular order are the Bills and the Ravens. I just like them both. I don't believe in the Pats. So if the Pats beat the Bills, I will come on the show next week, assuming Snacks Damon's not on, and I will apologize to my Patriots people out there. But I don't believe in the Patriots. I believe in the Bills, and I believe that they'll win tomorrow. What time's the game tomorrow? Is it 4:30? Did they slate it out later or
They
whatever?
better have.
Yeah, there's no way that's a 1:00 game. What, Pats,
No
Bills?
chance.
Oh, it's Monday Night Football. There
Yep,
we go.
Monday Night
Nice.
Football.
All right.
Yep.
Sweet,
Makes sense.
prime time. Let's do it. All
right.
Yeah, I like the Bills. They're home. And listen, the Patriots, the way they play offense and the way they structure their team, they don't make mistakes. So they will not turn the ball over. They have very high percentage passes. Their offensive coordinator knows exactly what he's doing. He's been in the league forever. I don't believe, though, that is good enough to get you to the Super Bowl this year, get you to the championship game. I don't see it. You have to do a little bit more. You can't just have Mac Jones dumping, 4-yard crossing patterns all game, running in with Damian Harris, who's a very good running back, by the way. I just don't think it's going to work. I just think you're going to get a team like the Bills with Stephon Diggs out there and some weapons and Josh Allen, and they're going to blow the doors off them. I don't buy the Pats, so yeah.
Listen, if it was any other team in the league, I would be with you. But this is Bill Belichick we are talking about. This is the man who did win Super Bowls throwing checkdowns only with the greatest quarterback of all time. This is a man who has come back from things we never saw him do before. And that is why, especially against Josh Allen and the Bills, who in 5 games against the Pats averages like a touchdown a pick, 200 yards per game on 56% completion percentage, which to his credit, a lot of those came when he was a young quarterback going against them, obviously in the same division twice a year. And his last matchup, he cooked them. But I think Bill Belichick has Josh Allen's number. I don't see them being able to beat the Pats consistently, and that's why I think that if this matchup came down later in the season, I'd also like the Pats. Now, I'm not going to go out here and say that the Pats are one of the better teams in the entire league. I don't think that they have the chance to beat some of the better teams. I don't see the Bills as highly as you see them. I think they would struggle against the Buccaneers, obviously Brady against the Chiefs, other teams that have shown more success without Tom Brady on their roster. But I think against this Bills team, the Patriots should win easily.
All right, really quick. Let's go through the games the Pats have won and games they've lost. Let's start with their most recent games. They beat the Titans, an injury, riddled team. The Titans were down for the count. So nice win. I'm not going crazy over it. Then they beat the Falcons. Falcons are not anything good this year, let's be honest. They beat the Browns at home, which was probably their most impressied win in my opinion.
Beat the brakes off the Browns at home.
They did. That was, listen, I'll say that was a great game, absolutely. But then they beat the Panthers, the Chargers, and the Jets. The 3 games before that, so they're on actually a roll right now. The Pats are on a 1, 2, 3, 4,
6,
5, 6-game winning streak. But then look at the games before that. Cowboys beat them, Buccaneers beat them, Saints beat them. I mean, when you take teams that are perennial sort of, well, these days they're perennial year in and year out powerhouses. The Bucs, the Saints, Cowboys too. That talent. They haven't won those games. So I want to see what the Patriots do over the next couple weeks because they're playing the Bills. Then they play the Colts. They play the Bills again. And then they end the year playing the Dolphins. And mind you, the Dolphins beat them earlier in the season, I believe. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not sold on the Patriots just yet. I'm just not.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. And I think that's why I said I'm worried about them in a matchup with the better teams in the league. But that being said, I do think there is something we have to mention in that in sports, one of the only things you can do when you play bad teams is win and win convincingly. And I'm not saying that you're not saying that they did that, but what they've done in games against bad teams is they've won convincingly. And that's kind of the Bill Belichick staple. He's not going to lose against a bad team. So I just think that when you look at they started off the season with a rookie quarterback in Mac Jones, and you gave him those first kind of 5 weeks that you mentioned, they lost to some pretty good teams in there, though. I think you give him that time to get more comfortable in the offense, and you give him that time to keep going, and now he's settled in and he looks like a good quarterback. But the biggest question of the day will be what Nick said is, what Josh Allen are we getting tomorrow? Or I'm sorry, Monday night. Is it going to be the Josh Allen that looks like the new Patrick Mahomes, sprinting around defenders, throwing balls on the run? Or is it going to be the Josh Allen that takes 5 sacks and throws the ball 30 yards out of the end zone? That's the real question.
Enough with the Josh Allen slander out there, Nick. I know you're a little hater there on Josh Allen, as is Ryan Potts over here. Oh, please. That's the most ridiculous comment I've ever seen. By the way, we shouldn't be able to talk about quarterbacks, Nick, as Jeff fans. We should have no right to discuss the quarterback position. Yeah. We should have to sign a waiver or something, 100%. Or get it approved by someone at the NFL. But Josh Allen's not overrated. I mean, what quarterback can you honestly say is better right now than Josh Allen? What, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, and that's it. I mean, the list really stops there. Quarterbacks today are inconsistent. Defenses are finding ways of limiting what these quarterbacks can do. So I wouldn't say Josh Allen's overrated, and he's definitely not the most overrated player in football. But we'll see. We'll see. Monday night's a big game for him. I think Josh Allen's going to have a great game. I have a weird feeling. Played well against the Saints. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns. He completed 82% of his passes. I don't know how they lost that game, by the way. But, yeah.
So you speak of a few young quarterbacks. Now, what would be your thoughts on Josh Allen over Joe Burrow? Because Joe Burrow, to me, is having one of the more interesting seasons across the league. The Bengals sitting at 7-4, they had a stretch there where they looked like they were going to be pretty dominant. But then they come out and lose to the Jets, and then the Browns in the next week, and then they go 2 back-to-back wins against the Raiders and the Steelers. This is a weird Bengals team. But I think Joe Burrow we're going to be hearing his name for a long time in this league. I think he's the real deal. And I think I'd take him over Josh Allen.
It's a tough one. I don't know. It's tough because I think Josh Allen is where the not to sound like one of those old school NFL minds that is always completely wrong, I feel like. But he's kind of where the game is going. Isn't that what's his name said? Isn't that what Chris Johnson said about
Yep.
Yeah, it's where the game is going. But no, Josh Allen he's big, he's fast, he can improvise, he's strong, he's got a big arm. Can't even press up on receivers anymore. So I feel like guys downfield, it's easier to get open. He's got all the intangibles I think you're really looking for. Burrow's good, man. Burrow's really good. I like him. He's got that toughness to him. I trust him, I feel. But I just think Josh Allen's more talented, and I think Josh Allen's proven that he can play at an elite level for, a 5 to 7 game span. Burrow's, jury's still out. And I think Burrow's got amazing weapons also, so don't underestimate that. Those guys out there, they really help him out, between Chase, Boyd, Higgins, Mixon. They have a lot of pieces for him. Even their tight end, Uzama's good. So I think Allen's done more with less, to be honest, if you want to compare. But Burrow, this is really his first full, I would say, season where we can kind of get a sense of who he is, and we'll see how the rest of the year plays out for the Bengals. But they've been a good team, man. They freaking beat the hell out of the Steelers this past week. So
yeah, but they couldn't touch our Jets. Couldn't touch them.
They couldn't touch us, man. We're legit, dude.
No, but the one thing I want to give Burrow credit to, and I want to make sure this is clear, that Bengals team was the laughingstock of maybe pro sports. I mean, they had some records in terms of not going to the playoffs and not winning playoff games. Like, they were so bad. Like, they were unspeakably bad for a long time.
They were the biggest joke. Even when they were pretty good, they were still a joke.
But it's funny because Palmer and Ocho Cinco, but it wasn't that long ago. Like, literally 3 years ago, right before they got Burrow, they were looked at as a complete laughingstock. And while you're 100% right, Mixon, T. Higgins, Jamar, they have hoopers there. But that's a system. And when you look at offensive play calling, that was very much an unproven system. The fact that he came in there and did what he did with those guys putting the game plan for him and showing that he could do it with young talent around him, that might be more impressive than what Josh Allen has done with the Bills. Now, obviously, he hasn't shown the playoff success yet. Josh Allen has already played in a big game. He didn't play well in that big game, but he's made it to a big game before. So we're yet to see Burrow do that. But I think it's going to be a battle. And I think a better comparison as of now would be between Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, because I see them as much more similar in terms of the stages of the career they're in, the guys around them, and also how they've been performing. Who would you like in a Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert conversation?
Oh man, this is a tough one. I'm something about Herbert I love, man. I think we still have to figure out if he's clutch, if he could win a big game, if he's tough down the stretch. That's still, the jury's still out on that. But as a pure quarterback, man, this guy is elite, honestly. I mean, he's leading the league now in QBR. He's first. He has a 66 QBR. He's got, 3,230 passing yards, which is fourth. He has 24 touchdowns. He's playing at a top-notch level. So, and I think his weapons you can look at and say maybe out of the quarterbacks we've just discussed, Burrow, Allen, Herbert might have the least impressive weapons out of the bunch. I mean, you want to look at Keenan Allen. I'm like, Williams, okay, Keenan's getting a little bit old and has had injury issues. But you look at what Herbert's done with less. I mean, he's great, man. He's really good, that kid. And I wish he didn't play for the Chargers. I wish we could see him play somewhere else where it's, it gets a little bit cold and you build more of a tough team that maybe we'll be able to see him in big playoff games down the line, because I would love to see him in big playoff games and hopefully we can at some point. But I'll leave you with this. Josh Allen, has more passing touchdowns than both of those guys. He has 25 passing touchdowns, and Herbert has 24 and Burrow 22. So just saying, Josh Allen's not having a bad year, everyone. But yeah, everyone's got to relax a little bit. He has 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns in 11 games. So hold your horse. He's 7-4. All right.
Listen, Josh Allen is certainly the real deal, as it seems Herbert and Burrow will soon turn out to be. And the other thing, though, that I wouldn't say worries me about Herbert, but I'll just say something to watch as the year goes on. And as we know, as the playoff time comes, you can start to rely on those main guys less and less because the defense starts to key in on those things. And I'll just say to watch how they've used Austin Eckler, because to be fair, I mean, maybe he doesn't have the same weapons as the other two guys we had, but Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler at your wide receiver 1 and running back 1 is not too shabby. And the way that he's dumped the ball off to Eckler has not only given him pretty good completion percentages, but also yards. So I'd just say I'd watch out on how Herbert progresses throughout the season in that respect. But otherwise, no, I mean, you can't go wrong with either of those three. I'm not surprised that they didn't fall on the Jets, of course, because if we had selected them, they would have been terrible. But the fact that Josh Allen's been doing it for a few more years now, I mean, you kind of have to go there in terms of consistency. But I think Burrow, out of the three names we've said, it's just a feeling. I can't explain it. The Broadway Joe, the seeing him in the big game at LSU do what he did. It just, you mentioned it, just you feel so, like when he's on the field, he's so comfortable. You just feel like he's going to take over. You feel like he's going to bring your team down the field. And so far in his short career, he kind of has.
Yeah, no, you're right. There is something about seeing Joe Burrow and that look in his eye when it gets late in the game. You're like, I trust this guy, maybe more over both the other guys we just discussed. I think Herbert honestly has like almost a perfect arm, because the way he's able to dump the ball off for a guy with a cannon like he has, really you don't see often. You usually see a dink and dunker style or a big play style guy. I mean, he could throw it anywhere on the field, and he's got touch too, which is so impressive with Herbert. Burrow, though, man, he's a baller. He's got that little bit of a Brady complex he's got there. So we'll see how he matures throughout that. But yeah, to Nick's comment, and shout outs to everyone in the comments. You guys are crushing. We got Nick and Ryan just going back and forth like
going
maniacs.
crazy.
We got Kimmy Geef in there.
That's my mom. That's my mom.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
She's an Eagles fan?
Yeah, she is.
Damn. Eagle
Born
up.
raised in Philly, so yeah.
Speaking of a team that needs freaking wide receivers, though, they need some wide receivers.
I mean, they got Devontae Smith, but they have
outside of him.
Past 3 years, you look at the Eagles drafts. I mean, obviously they wouldn't have kept drafting receivers if they had hit on these guys, but you look at a team that could have a starting receiving core right now of DK Metcalf, Devontae Smith, and Justin Jefferson. Like, that is absurd. And you can say that about every other team in the league, but the craziest part is that they drafted receivers in those 3 spots. Like, they drafted Rager over Jay Jets, Arcega-Whiteside over DK, and they obviously made the right pick with Devontae Smith. But that's incredible that they messed that up. And
I don't understand how the hell. I mean, what the hell do I know, or what the hell do anyone know? I mean, Nick and I, like, we do like YouTube scouting, and we'll send each other videos. But when we're looking at Jalen Rager over Justin Jefferson, like Nick's bringing up, I mean, when you look at the film in college, it's not even close. Like, what are these scouts looking at?
And here's why there's no excuse for that pick specifically. If you want to talk about the Arcega-Whiteside, DK Metcalf pick, that's one thing, because they're different receivers. Like, even though it's crazy to pick that over DK, like, different receivers, one's more block heavy, one's a bigger, one's a smaller slot guy. But when you look at when you look at Justin Jefferson and Jalen Rager, they're almost the exact same player. One of them's just worse, like, objectively. Like, they're pretty much the same build, same height. They're both really fast. One of them just has better hands, better route running, better everything. And they went with the worst guy. Like, it made no sense.
I will say Justin Jefferson, when he came onto the scene, I don't know if it was his big play was week 1 or I think it was week 2 of last year. Yeah, he looked different than I remember him at LSU. Like, LSU, he seemed a little bit more of like a stockier build kind of receiver, not so much of a deep threat. I mean, now, just Jefferson, it seems like the dude's playing, he's like 6'5" out there with like 4.2 speed. I mean, he's only 6'1", 200 pounds, Jefferson, but he plays like Chase. These guys that aren't necessarily that big and imposing, but they're so flexible and explosive. And I will say, when Jefferson had that big week 2 or 3 of last year, or whatever it was, I mean, he didn't look like I remember him at LSU. So sometimes I think there is something to be said with off-season training and you're projecting what a guy could be, I think. So maybe the Eagles aren't completely at fault, but Jalen Rager, just looking at him in college, I remember just watching some of his stuff. I'm like, this guy's good, but I mean, a first-round pick, it's a little much in my opinion. I mean, it was. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And as I mentioned, at LSU, he was behind Chase. But the thing with, and I don't know if you heard me mention this last time I did the show with Snacks, but my roommate Evan brought this up to me, that there's definitely a new age of receivers in the league. Whether it's the build or just the way they move, the agility, the elusiveness. When you look at the following names of Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, 100% Elijah Moore, these guys that are just recently coming into the league, every single one of them, it seems, hit a gear that wasn't hit before, just run routes in a special way. Kadarius Toney, I forgot his name. He might be the craziest of them all in terms of the elusiveness. Rashad Bateman, he's incredible too. You're a little biased there, but everything. I mean, all these guys, every single one we named, Michael Pittman too. It's different. Like, it genuinely is just a different. I'm watching something different on my screen opposed to the older age receivers that we saw, who were probably a lot stronger down the field and did a lot of different things that we're seeing these new guys do today. But
absolutely, man. Yeah, this is like the golden age for wide receivers. You know, you can't even list 10 of them, top 10. There's like, out of the top 30, you can make a case that they can all be in the top 10. You know, you make a top 10 list, Keenan Allen might end up being like, 22nd or something. But you can make a case that Keenan Allen's a top 10 receiver, to bring up someone we were talking about before. It's insane.
100%, and it just shows you it's all based on opportunity, especially in a league where everyone is so good. Like, there's so many guys we didn't even get to that just relies on opportunity, like a Deebo Samuel. Like, we've seen what he's done this year.
Yeah, I mean,
in an increased role. Like, there's so many guys that, and as Nick's saying, it's not the 50-50 ball body type. Like, you need a different type of player now, and so many guys around the league are adapting to it, and it's really just fascinating, because it just more and more shows you the guys that get the opportunity and the guys that end up capitalizing on it are the guys that do the best on Sundays.
Don't forget about Braxton Berrios, kid. Don't forget about him. Don't sleep on my man, Braxton.
No, don't forget it. So you've been watching any hoops?
A little bit here and there, man. I kind of wait till the football season starts winding down and really get into hoops. I caught a little bit of the Knicks game the other night. The end of that game was nuts. That call was complete, utter bullshit. I mean, listen, Mitch Robinson, this is Knicks Nets, everyone. The Knicks are getting blown out right now by 20 points, though. Unbelievable. But that Mitch Robinson foul, you don't call that. I mean, You can't. I mean, listen, Mitch Robinson will foul. Mitch Robinson gets fouls when he's on the bench. That's Mitch Robinson for you. We should have traded this guy years ago, or at least last year, but Knicks fans are obsessed with him because he blocks a crazy shot here and there. So he's all of a sudden, Will Chamberlain 2.0. But yeah, the Knicks we're in trouble. We're in trouble. And there is one reason, and I was looking a little bit at some stats. The Knicks, and I said this when we ended up getting Kemba Walker. You bring in Kemba Walker. You bring in Derrick Rose. You have Emmanuel Quickly. You have Julius Randle. You have R.J. Barrett. And then you bring in Evan Fournier. What do all those guys do? They all are tunnel vision scorers. Yeah, exactly. They want to do this. They want to score. These guys have no court vision. The peripherals don't exist. When Julius Randle is by far your best passer on your team, by far, you're screwed. Let's just be honest. And the Knicks are 27th in the NBA in assists. I mean, we don't move the ball around. Our field goal percentage is lower because of that. We're 22nd in field goal percentage. Passing the ball around is crucial in basketball today. No one does it better than Golden State. And if you want to go to a team that's first in the league in assists, it's Phoenix. So, I mean, you look at that, and they're first in field goal percentage. I mean, that's the kind of style that wins in today's game. And it's just the Knicks it was faulty the way we built this team. I like all these players, in a vacuum, but putting them all together, who's moving the ball around? It's all one-on-one, pass and watch. The Lakers are going through this too. I mean, you see it. It's not how you build a team.
I'm almost out of words to describe the Knicks team. I could not be more disappointed. It's everything you're saying is true. It's enraging that you come in here with this lineup that I'll admit I thought it looked solid coming into the season, but It's so disappointing because of how well we played down the stretch last season with mostly the same guys in. Now, I want to give a message to my Knicks fans because I feel like I have to be the optimist of the franchise, surrounded by so many people who are down on things. Let's make one thing very clear. Through 20 games last year, we were 9-11. Now, that 9-11 sounded a lot better because the year before we were terrible. The year before that, we were even worse. So that 9-11 was like, oh my God, we turned things around. We were 11-9 through 20 games this year. So that's 2 games better. So let's not forget that we have to think of things relatively and not just think about how we ended last year, but think about how the past 10 years have gone for us and think about that if we're 11-9 right now, with how bad all of us are seeing them play, there's only room to get better, and we're only going to go up. And I think that is something very good and very true that can be said about this Knicks team, that yes, we look terrible. Yes, as I currently speak, we are down 20 points because they decided to do a 1 o'clock game on a Saturday. But all we're asking is
it's almost 30 now, Sonny.
Almost
it's 92 to 66.
All I'm asking is that we put some of the things in place that we were doing down the stretch last year, defending, getting out in transition, moving the ball, knocking down threes, and we start winning games against good teams again. Is that so hard to ask?
Yes, it is. You know what? The Knicks need to make a move. We have to trade somebody. We're going to trade Kemba, apparently, they're saying. I don't know if that's going to happen. We need to move someone. There is someone I think we should trade, and you're probably going to disagree with me, and I'm sure if you have friends that are Knicks fans, they're going to think I'm nuts. We need to trade. I'm going to put this out there in the universe, and I'm being very negative today. I'm actually sorry, Sonny.
Don't even say it.
You know who I'm going to say.
Don't even say his name.
R.J. Barrett.
No, I'm done. Podcast over.
All right, Splash. I'm going to do the single view
I'm
right
done.
now.
No,
Single view.
no.
Sonny's.
You could have said anyone.
All
you
right.
could have said Julius.
Let me explain. Let me explain to you all.
Not RJ. Look, I will give you, but I will give you my Julius jersey to throw out as long as RJ stays on the roster.
Wait, so you right now? Let's just put a hypothetical out there. The rest of the season, you can have Randall or Barrett, one or the other. You're taking Barrett? You know how bad we'd be if we had Barrett without Randall? We'd be we're pretty bad now, but we'd be terrible if we had just Barrett, in my opinion.
We'd be the worst team in the league.
Yeah, for one season. I get what you're saying. Long term, I would probably take Barrett over Randall. But dude, I don't know, man. Is Barrett the guy? He's 1 for 7 today. I mean, he just came back from injury, right? He hasn't
illness.
played.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's got 1 assist. He's got 13 points. I mean, I think he's on the wrong team because I think that the players we have aren't, as I was saying, getting him the ball in open spots because none of these guys pass the ball besides Randall. And when Randall's your best passer, you're screwed. I mean, you're FUCK'd, it's bad. But I think Barrett is just, I don't know what's missing from his game. It just doesn't seem like, I don't know. Is he going to work out? I don't.
The issue is
Randall will. I mean, Randall, we know what Randall is. I mean, he's got his flaws, but when he's dripping Randall, he's dropping 30. So,
and that's why I answered the question the way I did, because we know what Randall is today. We don't know what RJ is. And some might say, what are you saying? Like, that's why you should have picked Randall, not RJ. But that being said, I'm comfortable with Randall as he is. He's fine. He's a great, probably one of the better number 2, probably would be the best number 3 option on a championship team in the league. I think he can be that even at the number 2 spot. But he's not the guy. And I think RJ has shown flashes that if he ends up, I don't want to say getting to the level of a Jimmy Butler or a guy like that, but if he starts improving levels that we have not seen this year that we were expecting to see, it will be different. And the other thing that is clear as day to me with RJ that I saw so much during the stretch down last season is that they were pairing his minutes up with Derrick Rose so closely throughout the playoffs, and that's because of what you're saying, Frankie. Derrick Rose is an elite ball handler and elite distributor, but we can't rely on someone like Derrick Rose anymore to give us 40 minutes a game. Like, you just can't. Tibbs has already tried doing that to him in Chicago and Minnesota. He can't do it now. He's too old. And that leaves RJ on the floor without a primary ball handler. So if they're not going to use him as the Maple Mamba, as other teams are using their guys, as we see teams like the Sixers using Tyrese Maxey when their dudes are out, if the Knicks aren't going to be using RJ like that, then we need someone else in the game who's going to find him the ball on the wing in his spot-up shots. Like, it's one or the other. You can't not give RJ the keys and then also not give him someone to get him the ball and then complain he's not doing anything. Personally, like, I feel like you either have to give him the ball and have him fail, not give him the ball, but understand, like, okay, he's not producing, but he's not getting the ball. But the one option you can't do is just say, like, oh, he just sucks. Like, I feel like that's unfair to him.
Yeah, but then look right here. Look at some of these past games he's had. I mean, this is inexcusable, honestly, Sonny. I mean, 4 points, 15, 10, 12, 9, 11, 17, 12, 2, 9, 15, 6. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, granted, that's recent sample size. Earlier in the season, he had a game, he had 35, I think, right? Yeah, 35 at New Orleans. He had 27. He had a nice little stretch here, but you can't get away in the NBA scoring 6 points, 2 points, 9 points, 9 points.
100%. And you're right. And it makes it even worse because when I look at those numbers, I'm glad you brought those up because I don't look at those low numbers as the problem. I look at the high numbers as the problem. Why is he not doing that more often? He's showing you that he can put up 30. He's showing you that he can put up 27. Like, if you pull that back up again, you look at how many shots he's taking in some of those games where he doesn't score. There is a direct correlation with RJ not taking enough shots and not scoring. Like that, and that makes sense. That's not an Einstein to figure out, but it just seems like if he starts off in these games where he's not doing as hot, the attempts don't end up going up. Like, obviously there are a few games there where he shoots 6 of 20, but these games where he's playing 35 minutes and goes 3 of 8 and he stops shooting, opposed to a game against the Pelicans, like that 35-point game he had.
Yeah, you look here.
Exactly.
Look, these are games where he's taken 20 shots, 21 shots. He's dropping 20 and 23. This game, he took 18 shots. Yeah,
exactly. So
he's not shooting enough.
Exactly.
I'll agree with you there.
100%. So I'm not saying now that he needs to be shooting on the level of Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. But when you look at around guys in the league, like that scoring number, I'm telling you, it's always so misleading because you look at a guy like Bradley Beal, uber talented, but no one says a word if he takes 30 shots a night and scores 25 points. They'll say he averaged 25 points. They won't tell you he averaged 30 shots a night. So all I'm saying is RJ, very specifically, I think he will end up being okay. But it is something to look at, and I would lie to you if I said I'm not worried because he's a number 3 pick in the draft, and as of right now, I mean, 15 points a game, scoring 9 points every other night, it's not going to cut it. Not in New York City, at least.
By the way, what did Nick mean by this? Sonny's big time now. He's the official basketball Jones.
He just meant my dad. Whenever he calls me on to talk about basketball, he gave me the nickname Basketball Jones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's all. That was funny though.
All right. What is this new ball, Ryan?
So they instituted a new ball, and like an actual physical ball, like a new ball in the league.
Oh, they got like a. So it's not they don't use Spalding?
No, I think they went back to Wilson.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think personally. I don't know if that was a serious question, but I don't think it's making a difference. I mean, if it was, maybe he. Okay, so I think. I don't ever want to discredit a guy for a ball change, but it definitely could be something that is affecting his shooting, because you look at a guy like Barrett, who we've just talked about this whole question, like, if he's not taking many looks, he has to knock down the ones he is taking. And if the ball is affecting a shot here and there, that could be something. But when you look at the way the rest of the league...
down on that?
When you look at the way the rest of the league has responded after the first 10, 15 games or so, I would say he's probably not affected by the ball, because if that was so, then Damian Lillard should have continued struggling as he did at the beginning of the season, but he kind of figured it out also, and some other guys like Bradley Beal's figured it out. So I don't think necessarily it's that, but I think like Paul George says right there, not to make an excuse, but it just is a different basketball. Like it's a different ball. It just, you got to get used to it a little bit. So I wouldn't say it's fair to blame his entire struggles, but I wouldn't say it'd be a stretch to blame maybe like the first 5 games or so on a new ball.
Watch, we're going to come back next week, and Sonny's going to be all about this new ball conspiracy. He's going to be like, Barrett sucks because of the Wilson ball.
Blame it on the ball.
You're going in a new ball rabbit hole. I can sense it already.
Oh,
yeah.
100%. It's going to happen now. Now that you say it, it might happen.
Speaking of new balls, what the hell's going on in baseball? They were like freaking Mansfred was allowing different baseballs to come in and out of games. Baseball is the most corrupt sport, by the way. Ever. It's
ever
insane.
And no one's talking about it
for years. Freaking betting and fucking hitting garbage cans.
No,
it's literally insanity.
It's fascinating. And the only thing crazier than okay, let me set the scene. The way that story came out is an astrophysicist who I guess worked with one of the teams, might have been an independent, whatever. The dude
only baseball would hire an astrophysicist.
He's literally testing the balls, and one day is like, this ball is different than this ball. Like, he scientifically showed, and he came to the MLB with the data, and they were like, yeah. But now, the only thing that could make baseball using 2 different balls without telling anyone even crazier is if what Pete Alonso claims is happening, that they're doing it during contract years. So the years where there are more pitchers in the offseason, they'll make the balls easier to hit, so the pitchers look worse. And in the years where there's more hitters in the offseason, free agents, they make the balls harder to hit, so the pitchers look better and the hitters get less money. If that comes out to be true, that is a different level of planning, of
smart,
corruption, it's genius.
I know, really.
But that would be past any cheating scandal. I think that would be worse than the Astros cheating scandal. Like, if the league was actually trying to cheat people out of money, exactly. Yeah. That would be...
The owners are probably... If that's true, the owners have to be involved in that as well.
100%.
They're the ones handing up the money, so if they know that they're going to be paying less, they would obviously want to, right? Splash, can you pop up an article somewhere about that?
Yeah.
Where that came out?
I'm not reporting that as factual. I just believe that that's what Pete Alonso claimed. If I believe it was Pete Alonso who claimed that. But, man, that would be something. If that really was, like, that would be...
That'd be wild. He was saying this where on Twitter? Was he going off about this on Twitter or?
Yeah, I actually think he said it in a post-game conference actually.
Oh, really?
But yeah, and like Splash said, like the Field of Dreams game, that was a game that people said there were a lot of home runs in that game, especially that last one by Tim Anderson didn't look like it was going to leave the park. Like that's a ball that carries over, and who knows if that ball, whatever they actually change to it, like the stitching's an extra half centimeter up, whatever they do to it to make it fly further, like. If that's a thing that they do, that is a problem.
Yeah, we don't realize with the amount of money that there is in sports, what little things they can do that we would have never even thought of that can change the aspect to the game as a whole. I mean, there's so many. Who knows with this new NBA ball what the real purpose is? I mean, I'm sure it's a sponsorship deal to an extent, but could be some other elements to it as well. It's really interesting though. But yeah, it says a new report says the league used 2 different balls last season. That's just so weird, man.
I can tell you what.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I could tell. Well, you have something about that because I was gonna.
No, I'm just gonna say that we didn't know about this until you were saying that this astrophysicist found out. I mean, it's not like the league said anything, so it's.
Exactly. Yeah. Look, Meredith Wills, an astrophysicist and data scientist. So she's not with a team. Her own independent studies of baseball is used in major league games. Like, how embarrassing is not the right word, but how just perfect is it that like an independent astrophysicist did her own sample on the balls? That just shows you that they thought that they were too smart. Like no one was gonna figure them out. That shows they were smart. But regardless of what ball is in play, I don't care if you're using a baseball or a bowling ball. The Mets have the best 2 pitchers on the planet, and they're both going to be pitching in Queens. So
you forgot about Mr. Severino, who's coming back, kid.
I forgot about no one. He's now what, the 6th best pitcher in New York?
Like the 16th probably, but yeah, you count relievers.
If you count relievers, yeah, that's actually true. But yeah, no. So it says here, yeah, Alonso accuses MLB of manipulating baseballs to suppress the free agent market. And
wow,
I can't explain enough how much of a problem that would be for baseball. And it makes you think, do you think it's something that only can get away with in baseball because of how stat oriented it is and how everything relies on the numbers and more than any other sport analytics? Like they can make such a little change that has such an effect? Or do you think it's something that kind of is probably done in other sports to varying levels of degree? Whether you want to say, this is just one example, whether it's a ref in the NFL moving one of the chains up in a half inch to give a team a spot, or like who knows? I bet you there are many other things that have happened similar to that we just don't know about.
Yeah, you know what? Someone brought this to my attention over the weekend. You know what they do, or last weekend? You know what they do in the NFL? Some of these refs is, or people that are in control of the clock, they'll let a few seconds roll after plays if they're taking the under. They want the game to last less, time. So the faster the game moves, the better chance they have of hitting the under. So you have people that are managing the clock that either stop it short if they're taking the over, or they'll let it go an extra second or two. You multiply that out by, 60 possessions. That's an extra minute of football. How long does a play last? 7, 8 seconds, 6 seconds. How many more plays is that? That equates to more scoring. So someone was bringing this up, like, I've never even thought of that, but apparently that's a thing that can be done in the NFL that we don't know who's going to control the clock. Well, what do you know if it stops at 2 minutes and 20 or 2 minutes and 21? I mean, you think it's nothing, but it could matter.
You're 100% right. And one of the more popular ones, Deflategate, obviously, that was something that, once again, calls the integrity of a game. Some guy trying to make a very small change that, well, whether or not Brady did it, someone tried to make a small change that had an effect on the game. Or, like Splash said, Rogers likes his balls the other way, like a little heavier. These little changes in a game in sports where everything's about a unified ball or a unified set of rules or a unified something, and everyone has to play to that one thing. If you start to change that, it gives you any little competitive advantage. And we know how badly these guys want to win, so there's no doubt in my mind that stuff like this is happening just to give you even that little edge, that even if it's just psychological, even if it's not even something that really would make a difference, that who knows, something that could change.
Yeah, I mean, football, baseball, basketball, all of these professional sports, all the sports we love, inches, centimeters matter, from a ball going in or not, from hitting a pitch or not, from fouling a ball off or not, so you get another pitch. I mean, it's just, there's so many elements to sports that if you start changing things a little bit here and there, you can potentially change the outcome of things. So,
yeah, no, I think
we should start a conspiracy sports show. What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
Let's go.
We'd have infinite material. Cause you know how many conspiracies I can make right now off the top of my head?
No political conspiracies. We'll just do sports conspiracies.
Yeah, sports conspiracies only.
Yep.
Literally,
Splash, you got one? Come on, Splash. Throw one. Get on the show. Come on. Let's hear your best sports conspiracy. Let's drop Splash in. Splash has one.
No, he needs to have one.
Splash, you're on the show.
Thinking. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, no.
You're on the spot. Splash, your number one sports conspiracy.
I mean, I immediately jumped to the Patrick Ewing draft lottery.
Okay. No, I like that.
Let's hear it.
I like that.
Let's
Well,
hear
no,
let's hear some details. Yeah.
I think that's been pretty well played out. Like
Yeah.
frozen envelope, Stern does one extra turn of his hand, feels the cold envelope, and picks the cold envelope. I mean,
love
like
that
that's a pretty popular conspiracy. I
Well,
mean, Pete Rose betting on his
what's-
team.
What's funny, Splash, is the Ewing one. That might be the one example. Like, you probably couldn't have given a better example because that's so much of a conspiracy that it's not even really a conspiracy anymore. Like,
Right.
I think that's true. Like, people just believe that as fact. Like, they definitely rigged that.
So
But no.
I guess my big conspiracy is Lonnie Smith got blackballed from baseball in the late 80s, early 90s. He had some rocky years with the Cardinals and Phillies, and then he comes to Atlanta and he's the best player in baseball in 1991 for no reason whatsoever. But he would have been somewhere else if these MLB owners weren't absolute morons and had colluding under the surface. Is that a conspiracy theory? Probably not, but my man Lonnie Smith got screwed.
I like where you're going with that, though. That could definitely fall under the conspiracy show that we are in the future making 100%.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%.
And I'll have my little political segment as well. We'll take breaks and I'll do some politics because
Yeah.
I got a lot of those ones. Let me tell you, but I can't talk about it. I don't want to
No,
get canceled.
Yeah,
You've been watching Snacks and Sonny here on uSTADIUM. Frankie filling in today. You got Splash behind the scenes as always, doing an awesome job. Appreciate you. But yeah, anything else we got to get to?
I'm gonna just say one last thing. I
let's
think
hear it.
my Yankees aren't looking like they're really doing much. I don't know what the plan is moving forward, but this is a very, very interesting time to be a Yankees fan. We haven't signed anybody, I don't think. Are we looking to sign anybody? I don't know what the hell is going on. Not that I'm really following all that closely, but Yankees have a big season ahead of them because it's to the point now where when are you going to blow it up, right? Like when are you going to restart or when are you going to change the approach or bring in a big name to sort of, take ownership, leadership, be that leader that we're looking for. Even though I love Judge, I think we need somebody else maybe in here that can kind of shake, ruffle some feathers. Where's this team going? I think. What does it look like? What's the personality of the New York Yankees in 2022 and moving forward? This is a big season for them. They haven't changed much. It seems like they want to go in with the same team they had last year. This is going to be a rough one, though. I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I don't know if we're going to get Carlos Correa, but if we can make a nice move, as I'm saying, and we got to start changing the fabric of this team because it hasn't worked, and it's been a long time since it has. So,
well, I'll leave you with this. I agree with you. They have to change the fabric of the team, but what you just said is another evidence log in the 100-year-old evidence log that the Yankees fans are the most spoiled fans in sports history. Not only is your roster filled with 2 MVPs right now, at the deadline, like the last time you were, let's just be clear. Other than this offseason, the last time the Yankees had a chance to make a move was the deadline, which they did make 2 massive moves that ended up not doing anything for them because they suck anyways. But they bring in Gallo and Rizzo. So all I will say for you is, while I'm sure everyone's rolling in their grave and everyone is just sitting there thinking about how the old Yankees would be doing so much more and they would have got Scherzer and this, that, the Yankees will be fine. You'll make some moves here and there, and you'll be good for sure.
the thing with the Yankees that's bothering me most, though, is our fucking GM, Cashman, and I'm going to refer to him using F-bombs because I can't stand the guy anymore. You bring in Joe Gallo, because Splash is asking, what do we think about Gallo before? Gallo's good, just not for the Yankees. We're just making wrong moves. Like, for the Knicks, Kemba's good, not for the Knicks. I mean, it's the same story. Just because a player's good doesn't mean it's good for your team. Odell Beckham, we spoke about earlier in the show. Good player, not for the Rams. It's just, I think these GMs just want to go out there and just get good players, but does it match your team? This isn't Madden. This isn't fantasy football. Teams have to mesh, and Gallo is a sub 200. Craig is 100% right. Your dad, Sonny. Shout outs to Big Craig.
Gallo sucks.
The GOAT. He does. He bats under 200. He batted, what, 190 something last year? Yeah, it's a lot of home runs. How many freaking home runs do we want? Like, how many home runs do we need for Cashman to appreciate baseball? It's insane. Enough is enough. Bring in a scrappy player that can steal some bases, that gets on base, and can score some runs. I don't know. It's just the fabric's just off.
I'm sorry. Did you see the joke my brother made in the chat?
No, I didn't see it. Where is it?
He goes, "I think the pantry might be empty. There's no snacks."
Oh, that's a good one. I like that one.
I'm going to smack him when I get home for break. That was a terrible one. That could not have been more of a lucky special.
He just dissed our show. Unreal.
Yeah,
he just dissed me.
Yeah,
right.
He really did diss you.
Yeah, he dissed me, dude. It's all right.
Yeah, and as my dad says, I just said this before, Yankees fans are the most entitled fans ever. I didn't even bring this up. You have 30 straight winning seasons. 3 million straight years of being one of the top 3 highest paying teams in sports, as they should be because of how much they bring in. But anyways, Yankee fans are way too entitled. Let's stick to the Mets. Scherzer or DeGrom, the 2 leadingest pitchers in WAR since 2015. Obviously, DeGrom's dominance last year was something crazy, but who do you expect to be their number 1 guy in a playoff series where they might need to play one of them multiple times? It has to be DeGrom, right?
Yeah, I think so. It has to be DeGrom. And I'll say this, if they're both healthy and they play 90% of the season they're available, because they're going to miss some time, both of them, and they'll do that strategically if the Mets know what they're doing, which I don't know if they do. But I love the move. I mean, you bring in Max Scherzer, you bring in a leader, someone that's going to challenge the other pitchers in that clubhouse and make the team just feel like they have a chance to win. I mean, Scherzer was talking about what he did in 2019 with the Nationals and how they allowed him to pitch. They kept him out there, and that's why he recently wanted to leave his past team. He wanted to leave LA because they weren't allowing him to really pitch as much as he wanted to. He said that he spoke with ownership and in New York, and they're going to allow him to pitch. So Scherzer and DeGrom, I mean, that's a dream scenario there. If the Mets know what they're doing, or even by mistake just fall into it, they should be able to make the playoffs and make a run. This is deadly. I mean, like, DeGrom's unbelievable, and Scherzer's a baller, and when it comes to a big playoff game, you're gonna have one or the other. So
yeah, I mean, when you talk about a guy who's just gonna go out,
just said, "Is the team lose by 9?"
We already talked about it, Dad. Watch the beginning of the show. No.
That's actually that's insanity.
No, that was bad. And he says 90, and we don't even think about it because it almost was actually 90.
Yeah,
they were down by
that's like
70
UConn women's basketball status right there. Like, honestly,
no, but the Scherzer situation has reminded me of my love for sports, and I think has sent a general message out to everyone in sports: be patient. Let's not forget what directly led to us getting Scherzer. Stroman, that happened a little bit after, but he was not coming back. They knew that pretty early in free agency once he started tweeting all this stuff. And he's lost me. I used to be an avid follower. He's lost me. But they got rid of Stroman. Syndergaard leaves. Matz leaves. So they have 3 straight things of like, oh, what's happening? I don't know who's coming back if this guy's coming in. But those 3 guys leaving is exactly what, and even maybe you can say Conforto. That's not confirmed, but that's a 4th. When those guys leave, like, that itself is not only what pissed Steve Cohen off, but that's what gave us the money and the space to bring in a guy like Scherzer. So if you're the Yankees, be patient. Do not rush a move, because a week later, that guy who I never thought the Mets would be a landing spot for Scherzer, guy comes available, the owner and GM makes a move at him, and now he's in Queens. So I would just say, sports are awesome, be patient, and let your teams figure it out.
I agree, but Sonny, the thing with the Yankees is we try to get guys. Like, we actively spend, but we spend in the wrong places. That's what's annoying about it. I'd almost be more prone to saying, like, don't spend any money, see what happens. All right, how much bitching as a Yankee fan can we do if we're not really trying anything? We go in with what we have, but we always try to bring in these players, and they just you're like, what the hell are you doing, Cashman? I don't understand. We give Hicks this big contract. We give Severino before that a big contract. What is he doing? I mean, the resources are there. It's like you going to build a house and you have, $3 million you could spend on it, and you make this ridiculously weird house, and the roof is caving in on one of the bedrooms, and you're like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like, we have the resources. don't try so hard. It may get some scrappy players, get some pitching. We know what we need. I don't know. I'm bitching. I'm obviously a typical Yankee fan. But.
But I'll give you credit. Because it's the Yankees, it's kind of the one thing that you're allowed to complain about. Like, there is such an expectation every year of them spending money that if the one time they don't do it, it's like, what is there to make up? Like, you have the money, you have the respected GM, you have the people in place, you have the core pieces. What else are you doing? Like, what is left to be messing around with? Like, you have a position where you actually have a chance to win a World Series. So I don't get your frustration for saying, what's the deal? I just think that the outlook of, it's over, the Yankees are done, well, like that outlook is just a little bit too further down the line when a team with such a storied history of making moves. And obviously we know what's happening with the lockout. That's going to delay things a good amount, and fans will be pissed about that. But Yankees are fine. They will make the move. But I guess I can't blame you for wanting stuff to happen, especially when you see Scherzer going to the Mets, other guys signing $500 million deals left and right, and you're the Yankees sitting here in the pinstripes like, what are we doing? So I don't blame you. I definitely don't blame you for that.
Where do you think Correa goes? You don't think he'll... If you're a Yankees fan, would you want Correa on the Yankees?
Oh, 100%. I mean, talk about bringing in another MVP-type candidate. Based off of the awards, the best defender at his position, which is probably the most important defensive position in the infield, shortstop. Like, he's going to be just... whoever team gets him, I'm jealous. You see this story? It's MLB rumors, so it was on NJ.com. Ex-Mets star may talk Carlos Correa out of signing with the Yankees. So apparently there's some steam there. But Mike Rodriguez posted about it. In an absolute dream world, the Mets, I mean, they lost Baez, so the dream world is now shattered. Like, just pick the dream up and drop it on the floor. But the dream world of having the three Puerto Ricans, Baez, Lindor, and Correa, who played together for the Puerto Rican national team. I mean, that would have been so fun. That would have been the best infield in the league, no question. That's almost $1 billion infield right there. Like, that's almost unheard of. So that dream shattered, obviously. But I don't know why. I mean, him seeing Scherzer come here, having the friendship with Lindor, I wouldn't say Correa to the Mets is a non-possibility.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, if he wants to play in a big market, and the Mets right now with Cohen, they're looking to be one of that big market splash teams, I could see something like that happening. I mean, listen, what I think it'll come down to for the Mets next year, it's not going to be a pitching issue. It really isn't for the most part, from your starting pitching at least. It's just, are you going to score enough runs? I mean, we're going to go through that same dance where the Mets are losing 1-0, and it's 2-1, and then every freaking time, right? I mean, it's comical. It literally, I mean, you're like, it can't happen again. It happens again. It happens again. It happens, like, it's insane.
It's the only thing I was mad that I saw that Scherzer had that opt out, because after 2 years he might be like, all right, I can only lose so many 1-0 or 2-1 starts again before I'm out of here. And that is the one thing I pray does not happen. Do not let Scherzer lose more than 3 one-run games, or I will be livid. I'll be so mad as the core of my soul. But yeah.
Yep. Well, let's take if anyone has any questions out there, shout outs to the chat. Chat is popping right now. We have Jerry in the chat, Chris.
Yep.
We have the GOAT, Craig. Shout out
Knicks
to your dad.
officially just lost by 14 points, by the way. Nuggets covered the 2-point spread. Embarrassing.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely embarrassing. But yeah, any main
we're under
questions?
500 now,
huh? Yeah, I guess, yeah. That officially?
Yeah, under 500. It's not good. Isn't it crazy how after a week or two, what were the Knicks? We were the number 1 seed in the East. We're going crazy, and we're like, Knicks fans are celebrating. It's literally insane.
Best fans in the world, baby.
Damn
Best
right,
fans
man.
in the world.
I remember last year when we beat the Hawks in Game 1. I was watching the game outside the Garden, and I go down to MSG outside, and Knicks fans are chanting, "Knicks in 5, Knicks." No, we won Game 2. Excuse me,
we lost Game 1.
Game 2. Knicks in 5. Knicks in 5. Who the hell would have thought that the Hawks would have ended up winning?
Of all people, yeah.
We didn't win another game the entire series. It was literally there were fire trucks out. There was cop cars. They were throwing a freaking parade outside MSG. It was actually awesome, but
yeah. No. All right. Just because Splash said it, I will give you my one singular college football take. Okay.
Let's hear it.
And I don't know. I don't know if you can call this a take or what, but I'm just gonna make an overall statement. You can disagree, and then we'll get out of here. And Splash will yell at me. College football is not even like I've tried this past season. I really have tried. It does not compare to the NFL. It doesn't. It just doesn't.
Not even close.
It doesn't. I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad you agree. I have friends that disagree. I understand. It is very cool. Team spirit does not compare to the pros. Just doesn't.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It's, you know what it is, man? I just think college players recycle all the time. You have a guy in there for 3 years. You really can't build any sort of like affection to the guy. You know, you don't like these players because they leave. It's about your love for the team. So if you went to the school, if you went to Michigan, you're going to root for Michigan. But for fans like us on the Northeast, man, we like players. You know, we like to rep our cities. New York. What New York college team is there? Syracuse. I mean, the Rutgers was cool at a point. It was nearby, but it's just for us. It just doesn't fit like it does when we're rooting for the Mets, Yankees, or Jets. You know what I mean? So, but players just constantly leaving makes it a difficult sport to follow, and the quality's not what it is. But the NFL, man, we can't compare anything to it. It's king. Their ratings are again through the roof this year, and they're just always ahead of the game compared to other sports. The NBA is struggling with ratings. Baseball had a good year last year, but they traditionally struggle with ratings. But the NFL just climbs year by year. So
Appreciate you for listening, Nick. We do this every Saturday. Be sure to tune in next Saturday. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. So Georgia versus Bama tonight. Well, not tonight. It's about 40 minutes. I think it's a 4 p.m. start. Who you like? Bama's coming in 4 seed. Georgia's the 1, and Georgia's favored by 6.5 points. But you like Bama in that game?
I'm going with Mr. Saban, man. Nick Saban's the best football coach of all time across all football leagues, including the NFL. Nick Saban's the GOAT. He is a leader of boys and men. I'm going with Bama. I will never not go with Bama in a big game as long as Nick Saban's there and well. I'm going with Bama 100%.
See, I'm so with you, and every part of me wants to say Saban, just like you said, he has the pedigree, has everything, the national championships, but it's just something about this Georgia team. It seems like, not that this is the year, but this is one of those years where Bama's kind of just going off of their old pedigree, the historicness of their franchise, and less of what they've done on the field. I don't know if the quarterback situation is going to be what it is in the past situations in the national championship game if they do make it there. So I think that if there was a year where the Sabanness would, if you can call it, would fail, I think it would be this. And I think this game will be pretty indicative of that. And I think Georgia might sneak away with this one.
I will say this, one of the most underrated players in football, in college football right now, that underrated because they should be talking about him night and day, is this kid Bryce Young. He's amazing. I don't think we talk about him enough. I mean, when Johnny Manziel was doing things that Bryce Young was doing, he's on every freaking every other ESPN show. They're talking about Johnny Manziel. Bryce Young is a baller, and this kid is special. Second in the nation in touchdowns, fourth in QBR, my favorite stat. Bryce Young is balling, and he's about to make that Georgia defense look like the college football Detroit Lions in about an hour. So Splash, I'm gonna take your bet. How about this, Splash? You want to bet, right? Let's do a take. So speaking of takes, if you haven't downloaded the uSTADIUM app, our newest feature just released an hour ago. It's called Takes. Basically, it's a custom bet with points. So on uSTADIUM, you get points. You can put points on these takes. The take can be about anything. So Splash, make a take saying, I'm going to take Georgia at minus 6.5 over Alabama. Put 500 points on it. That's the max. I'm going to put 500 and make it a quick one so we don't have too many people coming in. But takes just released, uSTADIUM app. We'll have a way to cash in and cash out with that feature as well. But yeah, Splash, let's roll, bro. Splash, I'm not doing too good against you in betting this year. I don't know what's going on. Me and you in our personal things. I don't know. I think you got my number this year. It's about the first time in a while. But
yeah, you still owe me that jersey from me saying Aaron Rodgers was going to start week 1.
I have it.
You have it.
Where's the
Right.
jersey?
I'm not wearing a Sam Darnold.
I have your jersey, dude.
Nah, I got you on Splash. I'll send it
I
to
got
you.
you one here.
No,
You
I
want
got
a
you
Sam
on
Darnold
Splash.
Jersey? Hold on, I got a better one for you.
I got you one.
A Daniel Jones jersey.
Lev?
Anyone but Le'Veon Bell.
Not
Anyone.
Lev.
Oh.
All right, well,
Who's this penguin dude? This guy's bugging out. He took shrooms a little bit too early on Saturday. Bro, you're supposed to take him before 5. I mean, or he did take him before 5.
I guess he
What's
did.
his
Yeah,
name?
I was gonna say I guess he did. Yeah.
I guess he did
All right.
take him before.
Well, Frank, it was a pleasure. Unless you got
It was a
anything else to get
pleasure.
to, I think you covered it all. That was a little bit of a crazy one. Thank you for everyone out there listening and watching. What's up, Penguin? Thank you for coming to the end. Give a shout out to Kenny,
Penguin's
Chris,
going in.
Ryan, both Knicks, my dad, obviously, and anyone else who was listening. I'm Sonny. That's Frank. Watch it on uSTADIUM. Hopefully, we'll get Snacks back up in here soon. But otherwise, signing out, and hopefully you'll be with us next Saturday.
Hell yeah. Peace out, everyone in the chat.